Hi, it's Travis Oscar Mike Radio. How are you doing? Tonight's a different kind of show. I had another thing planned, but life has a funny way of showing you what to do. And this isn't easy, I guess. I thought it'd be a lot easier than it would be, but it's not. So, throughout my life and times, I meet people that um, maybe through an act of kindness, hello, or just being themselves, bring light into the world, into different parts of people's lives, and you get to see it and experience it. And in my case, I was fortunate enough to learn what love can be. And it all started with, I still call her Mimi or Grandma, and she passed the other day. And so I wanted to do tonight in her honor. And the reason is 6, 7 years ago, I meet this young woman who's trying to start this nonprofit, and she needs, wants, desires, help. She wants to do the right thing. She wants to advocate for veterans. And I was on the fence. I was on the fence. I didn't really know Amber that well at the time. I had gotten out of another nonprofit at the time and was kind of like all set for a while because, people don't appreciate how much work starting and running a nonprofit actually is. It is not easy on a good day. And I'm at this event and I'm saying hello to Amber and I'm seeing what's going on and everybody's having a good time. And this little old lady in this walker comes up to me and says, "I want to talk to you." Well, hey, um, nothing like having sweet little old ladies want to talk to me. I've got a little soft spot for them. And, you know, Mimi sits down and starts talking to me about, uh, her family, Amber, what's going on, and why she was doing this. And the Smith family, from Quincy, and they're still in there. They're still in Holbrook and Rockland, are one of those families who's they can go back almost to the Revolutionary War and talk about the people that have served from their family. Revolutionary War, other wars, War of 1812, um, World War One, World War Two, Korean War, Vietnam War, Desert Storm, Global War and Terror. They pretty much, somebody from that family line has served our country for a long time. And she talked about what her husband had gone through, what Amber's father had gone through, and how it affected, you know, her daughter and her granddaughters, Amber herself. And she just had a feeling that I could help her out, help her as an Amber out. And there she is right there. And I'm listening and I'm like, well, look, ma'am, I'm not sure I'm really into running a nonprofit right now. I've kind of run that course. I'm good for right now. I don't know much about what Amber's trying to do, and it just would be better maybe if I passed. And I'll never forget this. She reached out and touched my arm and pulled me close, and she's like, I just have a feeling that you could help my granddaughter, and I want you to help her out. And it hit me in the feels, man. It hit me in the feels. Come on. I Didn't know what to do, but I said, I'll give this a second look. And I got to know Amber and her mother, Erin, and, Mimi or Maureen. And I really discovered that they truly loved this country. They truly loved being Americans. And all three of them had seen and experienced what the cost of freedom actually is. And that we're talking about more than what is done for Memorial Day and Veterans Day. That sometimes the cost of service is felt all day, every day, year round, long after that soldier, sailor, airman, or Marine Corps um, person returns from combat or even just active service. The cost is truly borne out, and it can be difficult to deal with those costs. And it's one thing to hear it from someone in a VSO capacity, someone from the American Legion, someone from the VFW, someone from the DAV, or another nonprofit, a big time nonprofit, or from the VA themselves or a politician. Those people are on message. They have been trained to talk about what is important for that experience. And then they stay on point. But it's another matter entirely when you hear a civilian, and Maureen never served, but listening to her talk at this event where we're standing there, and that was a very cool time, she articulated the veteran experience better than most people I know, in a way that really communicated that, hey, I have been there, I have seen this, I understand what happens when someone's going through a PTSD situation. I understand what happens when that person can't get help quickly. I understand how a dog at the right place and right time could save their lives. Save their lives. And it really had a profound effect on me. And I just spent the next hour talking with her, asking her what it was like to grow up in Quincy, asking what the Vietnam War was like, asking what it was like seeing her husband and her son come back home, you know, asking what it was like raising Amber, or being a grandma to Amber. And for those of you who don't know, Amber is the founder and executive director of I Got Your 62 Lives at Once. I'll have the link in the chat here in a second. And so I said, yes, I will help your granddaughter out. And over time, sometimes with nonprofits, and I've served on a couple, you don't really get to know your fellow board members, fellow volunteers, or the executive people running the organization on a personal level. In some respects, it's designed that way. You really don't want to get too close to somebody when you have to be able to um, guide at the fiduciary level and govern and offer criticism and critiques and oversight of a program. It's typically not a good idea. But again, like a lot of things, Maureen's not typical. And so I'd be at an event, or Amber would bring her to a community outreach program we had going on, and there she is, and the kids are going up and giving her hugs, and she's telling people about her stories, and she's just bursting with pride seeing her granddaughter take this mission and run with it in a big way. And the smile you see there never left. It was always a smile. And she always loved to hug me. And so it was great seeing her, time and time again. And she considered me one of her own. And I learned what that meant. And I'm wearing this shirt tonight, asked me about my podcast. She got it for me for Christmas. I was really proud of herself. She was a big fan of Oscar Mike Radio, and I was surprised that she'd tell me, "Hey, I checked out this show and I really liked it, and I liked that young fella you had on there, or that woman was really amazing. She kind of reminded me of Amber, and I think it's a great thing." And it really was special, hearing that. It really, was warm and comforting feedback about this craft. So as we went on, and Amber really started building out the organization and what she wanted to do, she would still talk to her grandmother about what was going on. She still wanted her grandmother's advice and counsel and perspective. And, Mimi would tell her, the veteran must come first in everything you do. Yes, the money is important. Yes, everything else is important, but it's the veteran that must come first. She was very clear about that. And usually with nonprofits, they say that, but it's the money that comes first. It's the fundraisers that come first. It's the people that can write big checks that come first, not so much the root cause. After a while, it's about getting more engagement, more this, more that, more subscribers, more followers on the email list. But Miriam's quite clear that the veteran must always come first. And I'm pleased to say that in that regard, this organization, Amber, has never shied away from that. Every nonprofit goes through, identity crises as they get bigger or as they grow or as they mature. But the focus of I Got Your 62 Lives at Once has been the veteran and the veteran experience when it comes to receiving the dogs being trained for the purpose of saving that veteran's life. And in that regard, I'm pleased to tell you that Amber has honored her grandmother's wishes in that regard. And the veteran truly does come first. And I thought about it. You can go to any, Facebook group or chat GTP, or there's hundreds of nonprofit websites that will tell you how to supercharge your nonprofit, or how to do this or how to do that. But in this case, it was simply always remember the veteran comes first. The veteran comes first. And I think not just for veteran nonprofits, but for other nonprofits, if they kept that in mind and never lost that part of what they do, I think we'd have more effective advocacy in the nonprofit world, certainly in the veteran nonprofit world, where things can get murky. You're trying to deal with personalities. You're trying to keep current. You're trying to understand how things are changing. Laws change, regulations change. The fact that we are not in a combat conflict setting right now changes conversations. But at the end of the day, Maureen was right. It's the veteran that comes first because she's seen it. She's seen it. She's lived it. And she was extremely proud of the work Amber was doing to do her part. And for me, again, full disclosure, my grandmothers have passed on. My grandmother passed in 2019. I got to see her one more time, and I miss her. I'm still that little boy in Wisconsin, getting homemade oatmeal raisin cookies from grandma. Nothing like it. And so Miriam, in her own way, kind of adopted me, and you know, I called her grandma. I certainly did, and was certainly happy to do that. I can't imagine, Amber and the rest of your family, the loss you must be feeling right now, because she was active, she was warm and engaging, and just a bright light wherever she was in the room, and you could tell the grandkids and great grandkids absolutely loved, loved Mimi. And so I can't imagine the hole that is there in your hearts and the pain that you must be feeling right now. And I just wanted to make this live and turn into a podcast to make sure that in my own little way that she is not forgotten, and that we always remember her. And in her own way, she's a part of what I do here with Oscar Mike Radio. And certainly, if you look at what Amber has done with I Got Your 62 Lives at Once, her grandmother is woven into the fabric of everything she does. I can't, again, I can't um, imagine the pain you all must feel. I hope these words find their way into your heart as a source of comfort during this time. And I want you to know, as far as I'm concerned, she will never be forgotten, even as she is sorely missed. Sorely missed. The events, the times together will not be the same. And it's sad, but I also know she's in a better place. And I just want to thank you for the time that we had together. And I'll see you again soon someday. So again, this is a different kind of show, different kind of episode, different kind of podcast. A lot of good's going on, but I did want to make this a memorable thing for me, for the family, for Amber, and those who've been touched by Maureen Smith's life. We're mission in flight.